Let me ask you something that might feel a little uncomfortable. When was the last time you did something beautiful and didn't feel the urge to show anyone? When was the last time you laughed so hard, or cried so honestly, or achieved something quietly meaningful, and didn't think about how it would look as a post? We live in a world where almost everything is shared. Birthdays, coffee cups, gym mirrors, airport windows, tears softened by filters, even pain packaged with background music. And yet, there are people who remain almost invisible online. They scroll, they observe, they watch stories, they read captions, but they rarely post anything about themselves. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe you are that person. And today, I want to talk about the psychology behind that silence. If you're someone who thinks deeply, feels quietly, and sometimes struggles to explain why you don't want to perform your life for the internet, then this space is for you. And if you appreciate conversations like this, slow, reflective, emotionally honest, consider subscribing and liking this video. Because we're building a corner of the internet where depth still matters. Now here's the part most people misunderstand. It's easy to assume that someone who doesn't post is shy, antisocial, insecure, or disconnected. But human behavior is rarely that simple. Silence online doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes it means awareness. For many people, not posting is not about fear. It's about control. It's the quiet decision to choose what the world doesn't get to know. Social media has subtly reshaped how we define ourselves. It rewards visibility. It praises noise. It trains us slowly and consistently to equate attention with value. Every like, every comment, every heart is a tiny hit of validation. And neurologically, that validation matters. When you post something and it gets engagement, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in reward and habit formation. Over time, your brain begins to associate sharing with approval and approval with worth. That's how the loop forms. Post, wait, refresh, feel seen, repeat. But imagine someone who steps outside that loop, someone who chooses not to attach their sense of identity to digital applause. That's not indifference. That's self-regulation. It often reflects what psychologists call an internal locus of control, the belief that your value and stability come from within, not from external feedback. These individuals are less driven by social comparison and more focused on internal alignment. They're not asking, "Do you approve of who I am?" They're asking, "Do I feel honest with who I am?" And that difference changes everything. Because let's be honest, much of what we post isn't just communication. It's identity crafting. It's an unconscious audition for belonging. We choose angles, captions, lighting, timing. We edit our lives into highlight reels. Even when we're authentic, we are still curating. We are selecting which version of reality to present. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But over time, constantly presenting yourself can create subtle pressure. You begin to live moments slightly outside of them. You go to a concert, and part of you is already thinking about the story you'll upload. You travel somewhere beautiful, and instead of fully absorbing it, you search for the perfect frame. You achieve something meaningful, and almost immediately wonder how to caption it. And for some people, that shift feels exhausting. They begin to notice that they're no longer just living, they're performing. I remember speaking to someone who used to post daily, workouts, meals, motivational quotes, travel updates. From the outside, her life looked vibrant and full. But one day she told me, I realized I wasn't doing things because I loved them anymore. I was doing them because they would look good. That awareness shook her. She didn't delete her accounts dramatically. She just slowly stopped posting. No announcement, no explanation, just silence. And what she described afterward was interesting. At first, there was anxiety, a strange feeling of disappearing, as if she wasn't visible, she didn't exist. But then something shifted. She began cooking without photographing it, walking without tracking it, celebrating without broadcasting it. And slowly, life felt heavier in a good way, more textured, more present. There's a concept in psychology called psychological ownership. It's the sense that something belongs deeply to you, an idea, a memory, an experience. When you share something publicly, that ownership can subtly dilute. The moment becomes open to interpretation, judgment, comparison. It becomes content. And for some people, that feels like losing something sacred. So they keep certain experiences private, not because they're ashamed, but because they want to protect the intimacy of those moments. Think about grief, for example. Some people post long tributes and find healing in shared vulnerability. Others grieve quietly, holding their memories close, untouched by comments. Neither is wrong. But the quiet griever understands something important. Not every transformation needs witnesses. Growth often happens in silence. Healing often happens in private. And identity is formed in the unseen spaces, not just in public declarations. Of course, silence online doesn't always come from peace. Sometimes it comes from fear. Social media has amplified what psychologists call self-presentational pressure. The constant awareness that you are being evaluated. Even when no one is actively watching, you feel watched. You worry that what you say might be misunderstood. You worry it won't get enough engagement. You worry it will be ignored. And being ignored can feel strangely painful, as if your existence wasn't acknowledged. For some, it's easier to retreat than to risk that vulnerability. They want connection, but not at the cost of feeling exposed. And here's the irony. The quietest people online often have the loudest inner worlds. They think deeply. They observe patterns. They notice details others miss. They feel intensely. But instead of projecting outward, they process inward. In a world constantly saying, "Look at me," choosing not to demand attention becomes a subtle rebellion. It's saying, "I exist even when you're not looking." And that's powerful, because we've confused visibility with value. We assume that to matter, we must be noticed. But think about the most meaningful moments of your life. The late-night conversations that changed you. The silent realizations in your room at 2 a.m. The quiet decision to forgive someone. The private promise you made to yourself to do better. None of those needed an audience to be real. Some of the most important shifts in your life will never appear on a feed. And maybe that's how it should be. There's also something else that happens when you step back from constant sharing. Time slows down. Without the pressure to document everything, you begin to experience moments more directly. Colors feel richer. Conversations feel deeper. You're not half present, thinking about captions. You're just there, fully inside the moment instead of slightly outside it. Studies have shown that taking breaks from posting and consuming social media content can increase emotional stability and life satisfaction. When your identity isn't constantly being mirrored back through metrics, likes, shares, comments, it stabilizes internally. You stop editing yourself for approval. You start living in full, messy complexity. But let's not romanticize it completely. There are moments when being quiet online feels isolating. You see others celebrating milestones, announcing achievements, receiving waves of support, and you wonder, if I don't share mine, does it still count? If no one applauds, is it still an accomplishment? That doubt is natural. We are social creatures. We crave recognition. But over time, something beautiful happens. You begin to realize that your worth doesn't evaporate in silence. It remains steady, like a quiet room after a storm. You understand that confidence isn't loud. It doesn't always declare itself. Sometimes it's simply the calm assurance that you don't need to explain your existence to feel secure in it. People who don't post are often misunderstood. They're labeled mysterious, detached, even arrogant. But often, they are simply selective. They prefer depth over display. They save their stories for when you're sitting across from them, not scrolling past them. They build relationships that don't require proof. They measure closeness, not in comments, but in consistency. They notice who checks in without reminders, who remembers birthdays without countdown posts, who asks how you are without needing a status update to trigger it. That kind of connection feels warmer, heavier, more real. And maybe the most fascinating part is this. The longer someone stays outside the performance cycle, the clearer they begin to see it. They notice how easily perception can be manipulated, how quickly trends shape identity, how often happiness is curated. And instead of feeling superior, they simply feel uninterested in participating the same way. They're not anti-technology. They're not judging others. They just crave authenticity more than visibility. In the end, this isn't really about social media. It's about self-definition. It's about whether you believe you exist beyond perception, whether you can sit alone in a room without broadcasting your thoughts and still feel whole, whether you can achieve something quietly and let it live only in your memory. There's something profoundly freeing about doing things that will never be posted. A workout no one claps for. A kind act no one sees. A personal breakthrough no one documents. These moments build a private foundation of identity. They remind you that you are more than a profile, more than an algorithm, more than a collection of images. So the next time you notice someone who never posts, don't assume they're hiding. Maybe they're healing. Maybe they're protecting something sacred. Maybe they've simply realized that not everything meaningful needs to be displayed to be real. And if you are that person, the quiet observer, the deep thinker, the one who feels invisible sometimes, I hope you understand this. Your silence is not emptiness. It is depth. Your privacy is not loneliness. It is intimacy with yourself. And your worth does not decrease just because it isn't constantly witnessed. In a world desperate to be seen, choosing when not to be seen can be an act of strength. Because in the end, we are not meant to be performances. We are meant to be people. Complex, imperfect, evolving people. And sometimes, the most honest expression of who you are is the life you live when no one is watching.